Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon to some of you. Welcome to Smartcat webinar series. My name is Kate. I'm an event marketing manager here at Smartcat. First of all, let's check the audio. Do you hear me well? Can you? No, you can't see the screen. Yes. Thank you, Stuart. Thanks. Okay, so before we start, let me give you just some organizational and technical issues. First of all, your mics are muted, but we will have a questions and answer session at the end of the presentation, and you can either put your questions in the chat box, or if you want to ask it directly, we are more than welcome to communicate with you. Simply raise your hand and I will unmute your mic and you can ask your question. Also, in the meantime, during the presentation, if you have any question, just type it in, so do not to forget what you wanted to ask. We are making the recording of this presentation and we'll send it to you tomorrow anyways, so you can just go through it once again. Sorry, I have some noises at the back. This is my this is our host actually, Anton. Anton, so let's start. I think I'm done with my part.
Hello, everybody. My name is Anton, and I'm Senior Director of Business Development at Smartcat, and I'm going to be your host for today. Let me figure out the last technical things here. Just need to know if you can see my screen. I just shared it. Let me know if you can see it. Okay, cool. So thanks everyone for joining. Thank you for your time. First of all, what we're going to do today is we're going to go through the ideas and best practices on localizing the modern types of content, basically mostly the websites, the web content, and the content which originates from software development, application development, and we'll also demo one of the integrations in the end. So let's start. What I wanted to start with is why is it all important in general. There are a lot of studies which are showing the importance of the communicating to your users in their native language. For example, I enjoyed this one very much. It's originally called Can't Read, Won't Buy. That was done by Common Sense Advisory, which is one of the biggest consulting companies in the language industry. What they did is they monitored the conversion rates depending on the language the user was speaking and the language the content was presented to user. And in general, what they found was that conversions are dropping twice, even if the user is, for example, if the user is not the native language, not the native English speaker, but knows English, conversions will still be 2 times lower in comparison to presenting him in the native language. So 2 times is quite a significant number to be following. So yeah, speaking to your users in the native language is very important. Another thing which affects what's going on a lot is how we as businesses, as companies, produce content these days. So the content production nowadays are going through an explosion. I enjoy the number very much of the amount of time required for humanity to double the amount of content we possess. 100 years ago, it was 100 years. So humanity was taking another 100 years to produce the same amount of content we own. Nowadays, it's less than a year. So every year we produce the same amount of content which was produced from our inception. And actually, since the content is growing that fast, it's obvious that professional localization touches only a small fraction of the content. You can see the number here. And another concept is that more and more economies are plugging into the global economy, which means that you need to have more and more languages to cover a certain portion of the audience. So to reach 90% of the internet audience, you needed 13 languages in around 2000, and now it's close to 50 languages and growing. So the challenges are here, and this slide shows also very interesting numbers about how content is produced, and a very major shift which is business seeing right now, which is basically every company these days is becoming a media company. So we all publish content. Some of you work for companies, helping them to publish their content, and this amount of content is amazing. Like this is the amount of content which is published every minute, every 60 seconds. We increase the amount of published content this way, which means that actually the requirements for the turnaround for producing and publishing the content are increasing. So you need to do it fast, and the same applies for the translation, for the localization of the content. So this the previously acceptable deadlines of days and in some cases even months for translating and localizing the app or the website. Nowadays, these timeframes are shrinking into days, and in some cases hours. Like news published in English version of the website sometimes are required to be published in all the other versions of the website in less than an hour for a lot of companies. So this means that these days businesses and your buyers and you are actually looking for a connected experience, which means that creating, updating, localizing, publishing the content and getting the feedback is all connected into one continuous delivery loop. We simply call it connected translation, and we will be speaking about several parts of this loop today. So let's see who is affected. Basically, every industry which has digital content, and once again, these days, it's basically every industry is affected. Sure, marketing and communication changing a lot. Online retail and e-commerce are facing a lot of changes because e-commerce is a huge number of content, a huge amount of content. So you can have easily thousands of items updated on the website daily, and not only update that, but also translate it into several languages might be quite a project and quite a challenge. Online gaming for sure, because for online games, one of the biggest growth factor is being published in multiple regions. So they're also struggling to be localized very efficiently and into multiple languages. Information technology companies who are dealing with a lot of information education, because a lot of content these days is published online. So education is also changing a lot. So the way we educate our employees, the way universities educate their students is changing a lot. And in a lot of cases, this content also needs to be translated and localized in an efficient way. Manufacturing and obviously many more industries are also going through this shift. So the pain points we are all facing actually, and I kind of walked through those a little bit. Those are, first of all, too high time to market, and this becomes more and more critical. So sometimes the information needs to be published fast, and that's really critical. Constantly updating content, not only the content is produced in a lot of in huge amounts, and a lot of that needs to be localized, but the content is also updated a lot. And if you have to deal with these updates manually, that might be quite a headache. And manual steps which require you to import, export content might also become quite a bottleneck. So those are the main we're facing, and we would like to hear from you if you're hitting these bumps, or maybe another. I think we have an open option there to vote for. So in case you do, please let us know what's the challenges you're facing. I see that the votes are coming.
You can choose actually several options. So maybe you encountered not just one, but two, or maybe all of them. choose all of them.
Yeah. So this.
If you're choosing other, please specify in the chat which one, because we really need to know what are the pains. Maybe we just missed some of them.
Yeah, those were probably the biggest ones, but obviously there's more because those human and those human effort and manual steps are not only slow, it increases the probability of errors. So sometimes when you have to import and export data from your website, get it localized, when you send it to your localization vendor or a translator, and you have to change and convert formats manually, that can easily lead to errors and broken formats. So
yeah, and Stuart actually added that he's having a problem. One of the pains is having people who can create the localized content. This is what we don't have here.
Yeah.
Okay, let's close it. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's proceed.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you for your answers. And let's see what actually companies can do when they when they're evolving faster than the traditional language market, when companies need to move fast and the language market is still accepting orders via email or have hard times producing fast turnaround. So we have several companies here who build it themselves. So companies like Airbnb, Electronic Arts. Localization is actually a part and a huge important component of their business. So what they did is they invested a lot into really having all their content production and localization cycle integrated. So they built internal systems. They managed and vetted their own translators, teams, vendors, pools, and literally invested millions of dollars into having the localization automated in a proper way. So that's totally an option. The thing is that not only such big companies are facing these obstacles these days. And to turn these obstacles into opportunities, what we are bringing to the market is actually a tool set and stack of technology which allows you to perform in a similar manner with your content and with your customer content without investing that millions of dollars. So as I mentioned, we call it the connected translation, and our vision is that to have everything running in a continuous way, you have not only to deal with integrating with the content repositories, which is connectivity and delivery component here. And this is actually what we will be talking in more details today. But it also is important to be able to automate and to run in an autopilot mode the management part, which is basically what you do with the content after you get it from your content repository. Creating a project, splitting the files, sending it to vendors, monitoring that things go properly. Then it's scalability. So to translate things in translation industry, you still have to deal with human resources. We have also almost every popular machine translation engine integrated, and we promote it as an important part of improving the turnaround time and the way you translate the content, but still humans are needed. So to scale your project efficiently, you need to be able to search for freelancers, to test them, to add them to the project. That's what we have as part of our vendor LSP marketplace and freelancer marketplace, and also payments. So to have the loop closed, you need to pay people, and that's also the component of Smartcat. So let's see. Obviously, this is the big picture. So let's focus today on delivery and connectivity parts as the first steps, and let's see what we have here. We're going to be mostly speaking today about the two main scenarios, which are web content and software development content, which is localizing the apps, the mobile apps, the web applications, desktop applications. So those two run in different ways, but still have a lot in common. So speaking of web content, the content management systems landscape is very diverse. So there's a lot of content management systems present today, and you can deal with different. But the thing is that the majority of the users these days are using only 5 content management systems, which are basically WordPress, which is responsible for an enormous amount of close to 60% of the websites. Then there's Joomla and Drupal, which are both responsible for 8 to 10 percent, which are responsible for 8 to 10% of the websites each. And then there goes a longer tail of more specialized content management systems like Vitux, for example, which specializes in the mostly geographically it's very popular in the Eastern Europe, and Magento, which specializes in e-commerce, and it's basically an e-commerce ecosystem, which I think covers close to 6% of the websites and the vast majority of the e-commerce websites. And then there's a long tail. So those are the connectors we already have, which means that for this content management systems, this connected workflow can be enabled. So you can send content for translation without leaving the content management system, which means that it basically becomes an integrated step in your content production workflow. For example, the content management manager responsible for adding the content to the website can in one click send it for translation into multiple languages, and we will demo it today for Magento, speaking about the e-commerce items. But it works in pretty similar way for the content management systems. And yeah, so the way it works, you can see how these integrations work on our YouTube channel, by the way. So we will not be able to demo all of them, but we have more than 40 videos explaining how Smartcat can be connected to all these content management systems, to GitHub repositories, to Google Drive, to Slack, and to other systems. So make sure you check the YouTube channel in case you're interested in seeing how a specific integration works. So another thing, another type of content I wanted to focus on is this content which originates from software development. Same as with content management systems, the code developers are using the so-called the code repositories, which is basically the platforms they use to store code and efficiently collaborate on it. And the software streams, which define the localized interfaces of the mobile apps, of the web apps, are also stored as part of this code in the code repositories. So to enable an efficient localization workflow for such a configuration, the best idea is to integrate with these code repositories. This way, the localization team can work in context, understanding what developer team does, and actually do not block the development efforts of the development team while they are localizing. So we also have a solution for that, and as other solutions, it's also, the demo is also available on the YouTube channel. So if you're dealing with software development, and I know some of the attendees today do, please visit the YouTube channel and see our support materials to understand how it works. And in software development, it might be even more critical. So as I mentioned, on the website, you're going to be overloading just one or several people I mean the content managers, who will be required to send the content for their localization vendor, get the content back, update it in the content management system, and so on. With software development, if you don't have an integrated process, if you don't have a continuous localization process, to actually localize your software, your application, in some cases you will have to stop the whole development team for a week or so from developing and from contributing to the main to the main repository. So it might be even bigger issue, and continuous localization there is even more important. So here we wanted to hear from you. Which systems are you using? Are you using those which are mentioned? Do you have maybe requirements for other systems, or using other systems? So I think Kate will start a poll right here for us. And please click on what you're using. And if you're using something different, please fill it in the other field. And we're also very interested to know. It also helps us prioritize. So we are constantly adding new connectors, and the way it works is we are seeking for people who have this need, and that feedback is very, very important for us. I see votes are coming. Pretty interesting. Looks like we have only WordPress and Magento today. Anyone have another option? I see only half of us voted. So if anyone has another one, please vote or leave your option in the other section and drop it in the chat. All right. I think we can close this one. Thank you for voting. And let's continue here. So what can you do if the system is not listed? As I mentioned, we are continuously looking for the demand for more integrations and for people using other systems. So and even in case the system is not listed, Smartcat has an open API, which means that it can be integrated basically with any piece of software today, because software and different websites and platforms are communicating a lot, and Smartcat has an open API. We also have a Zapier connection. For those of you who are not familiar with Zapier, it's like a meta connector. If you are connected to Zapier, it means that you are connected through Zapier to more than 1,000 other applications and platforms using Zapier. So Smartcat is using Zapier, and even in case the system was not listed, please let us know if you're interested in something else. In most cases, things can be figured out right away. So I wanted to switch to demo today, and what we wanted to demo today is the Magento integration. Magento, as I mentioned, is an e-commerce platform which helps companies sell efficiently, providing the whole e-commerce stack. Magento is also famous for its widely developed development community, so to say. So a lot of companies are building extensors for Magento, which are adding new functionality and new components to the main functionality. So that's what we did. We developed an extension, and it's available on Magento applications marketplace, and it can be installed. We're not going to be going through the process of the installation in this demo today. And by the way, I'm basically using the videos from our YouTube channel, which I mentioned. So what we see on the screen right now is the dashboard of Magento. This is the administration panel. This is the demo done on our sample instance of Magento. So what our extension does is that it adds this localization component on the right. So first thing you need to do is configure it to work with Smartcat. And these are the parameters you can get in Smartcat. And here we show, this is the Smartcat interface. And here we show that you can go to the settings API sections and quickly grab the account ID and the API key. So those are credentials which allow Magento to communicate with Smartcat with a particular Smartcat instance. As soon as we enter the API key and the account ID, the Magento instance will be connected to a particular Smartcat instance and will be able to send the content to for localization. So we're here updating the settings, and the configuration is saved, which means that we are now connected and we can continue to with the store localization. Another thing we need to set up is translation profiles. Obviously, you can have different types of content on your Magento website, and even in your catalog, you can have different sections and different items, some more visible, some less visible. Some you want to translate in all the languages, some you are just translated in part of the languages. So what you can do is set profile for translating certain type of content. What you do here is you're setting up the name of the profile, the translation. You choose the translation vendor, which are plugged into this Smartcat account. You're choosing the from and to languages, and you're also defining the basic workflow here. You can also use Smartcat project ID to send all the content into a particular project. These two check marks are pretty important because what they allow you to do is really enable the continuous localization process, which means that if you check those two, all new pieces of content will be immediately sent for translation, and also updated content will be sent for translation. So no even need to manually do anything for the content to be translated. You just work in the regular way, and as soon as the content updated or added, it's sent for translation. So we're done with the profile, and we can now go into localizing the content. Here we are in the standard Magento catalog management system. So what we did right now is we just added a new product, and what we are doing is sending it for translation right from the interface. That's what I was speaking about. So the content manager, or in this case, the store manager, doesn't even have to leave the Magento admin panel for sending things for translation. So we just send it for translation. It will take some time for it to synchronize with Smartcat. Usually it takes less than a minute, might be up to a couple of minutes. And here our extension also adds the dashboard, which shows all the tasks which were sent for translation. Let's switch into Smartcat right now. So this is the Smartcat interface. We're not going through Smartcat details a lot during today's presentations because it's more about the content ecosystems and about how you can integrate. So some of you are already familiar with Smartcat. Some of you don't. The thing is that as soon as you are done with translation inside Smartcat, the content is automatically pulled back into Magento. So once again, the content manager or translator doesn't actually need to do anything to for the content to be updated on the website. And so that's the idea of the continuous process. Once again, we're not focusing a lot on the Smartcat functionality during this demo for the sake of time. Obviously, you can be using your own translators if you have. You can be using translators from Smartcat Marketplace. You can be using a translation vendor if you're working with a vendor. Smartcat is free for the vendor, so you don't. There's no need to pay for this functionality. You just ask your vendor to register with Smartcat, or the vendor might already be registered with Smartcat, and you can assign the vendor or a freelancer or an internal team member to translate the content. So this is the idea of the connected process. Once again, we have demos for almost 30 products and systems right now on our YouTube. Please go ahead and check that. And let's continue with understanding what actually it allows you to do. So for basically, the connected translation allows you to communicate with clients in their native language. So this is important. We went through the figures in the beginning of the webinar. It increases the conversion rates. It decreases the return rates, especially in e-commerce. By the way, we hear from a lot of customers that when they're selling in to the people and have product description in their native language, they see lower return rates, which always basically lost revenue. So you're able to increase your conversions and at the same time decrease the churn and the lost revenue. You spend less time to enter new regions, to go to new markets. This is very important these days. And you also are in control of the process. So after entering new region, you don't have to spend a lot of time or effort or resources into maintaining your localization. As soon as the process is integrated, it just flows. Yeah, so you have a localization process which is easy to set up and control. It's transparent, and you have this technology advantage. So as I mentioned, big guys, big companies are developing high costly technology stacks to be in control of their localization, and you can also do it. And basically, that functionality is free, so you don't even have to pay for it. So everything we demoed today, there's no need to pay for it. Smartcat has a certain subscription tiers in case you need additional support, in case you need a certain requirement of the SLA, but everything we demo today, everything we show is basically free. So that's also important to understand. All right, so what can you actually do next, right? So how can you actually get into it? So as I mentioned, the integration is free. You don't have to download or install anything unless you're dealing with GitHub. Software development is a little bit more sophisticated. So with web localization, you just log in and try it out. You can use connectors published in your ecosystem application stores. With Magento, we will send you the link. Same with WordPress. WordPress is a little bit different because it doesn't have a native localization mechanisms in the WordPress itself. So you have to install an additional localization plugin, and there's two of them who own the majority of the market, which is WPML and Polylang. So we have connectors for both of that. You can check the videos on our YouTube, and you can go ahead and download those connectors from the WordPress ecosystem and connect them with Smartcat. So that can be done just right now. You can just register and go ahead. I mentioned our YouTube channel today probably too much. So here I mentioned it once again. Please feel free to take a look there. In case you need any additional assistance, in case you need more detailed how-tos on setting up the connector, on installing the connector in case of integration with GitHub, or just any questions, just drop me a line. Here's my email. Feel free to reach, and I believe I also sent some reminder emails to some of you. So just feel free to answer any of that emails or just drop me a line. And in case you need any additional development, in case something is not working as a default scenario for you, then we also have a number of options. As I mentioned, we have an open API, and we can integrate with more systems. We can be integrated with more systems, and we also have development partners which we can team you up with to eventually build the ultimate solution which works for you the best. All right, so if it sounded interesting, we have one more poll for you. Hope it will be productive. So does it sound interesting? Are you ready to move on with this? We embedded a little joke here, so thanks for voting. All right, I think we have this covered, and we can actually continue into the Q&A session. I'm gonna go look in the chat. Kate,
No,
so
no, we don't have yet the questions, but guys, please, if you have some questions left, as I mentioned in the beginning, you can simply raise your hand. You can ask your question directly or type it in. We're ready to answer. Okay, so
yeah.
actually, I don't. It seems like everything is clear, which is good.
Oh, yeah, another option is that nothing is clear, and
Yes.
therefore there's no question.
I hope
Okay.
not.
Yeah, if you have any questions later, you have our contacts, please feel free to reach out to us. The thing we wanted to convey is that we really want to enable these business capabilities for you, so speaking multiple languages and not spending a fortune on it, not spending a lot of time, not facing a long turnarounds is critical these days, and that's what we enable for you as a platform. And once again, as I mentioned, if you have your existing process, you can use the platform to migrate your process to the platform. And once again, everything I demoed today and everything we were speaking today about is free. So it really is an easy start. And yeah. So thank you once again for joining. I think we also saved you almost 15 minutes of your day today, and looking forward to talking to you.
Yeah, thanks everybody. And in the follow-up letter, I will also send you the link to our YouTube channel and maybe some other useful links, so you don't need to search for them. Thanks everybody. Have a nice day. Thanks, Anton. Bye-bye, guys.
Yeah, bye. Have a good rest of the day.